The cry that shattered the entire Kensington mansion was so raw, so desperate, that even the portraits on the marble walls seemed to tremble. Amelia Thompson, the young housemaid, froze halfway up the staircase when she heard it, a strangled, broken sound coming from the master suite. She rushed upward, heart pounding. And when she pushed the door open, she saw Edward Harrington, one of London's most feared and respected entrepreneurs, on his knees, sobbing, clutching the limp hand of his tiny daughter, 3-month-old Charlotte, while the doctors delivered the sentence no parent should ever hear. She has 3 months left, at most. And yet, that was only the beginning, because what Amelia would dare to do next would shake the foundations of his world. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in people who still step up when the world turns away, take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to see will restore your faith in humanity. We'd love to know, where are you watching from? Comment below with your country and region, and let us celebrate the kindness that connects us all. Now, let's begin. It began on a cold, gray afternoon, the kind that made London feel even heavier than usual. The Harrington mansion, nestled deep in the wealthy streets of South Kensington, stood silent except for the echo of Charlotte's weak cries. Amelia, who had worked for the Harringtons for a little more than a year, was dusting the hallway when she heard a faint whimper coming from the master suite. She hesitated at first. Maids didn't enter unless called, but something in that sound felt wrong. Inside, she found Edward Harrington, impeccably dressed yet completely undone, sitting on the edge of an armchair, his elbows on his knees, his head lowered. His daughter lay in her ornate crib, pale as the silk sheets beneath her. "Sir, should I prepare you some tea?" Amelia whispered, her voice trembling. Edward raised his head. His usually sharp, commanding eyes were bloodshot and swollen. "A cup of tea won't save my daughter's life, Amelia," he muttered with bitterness sharp enough to cut the air. Her heart ached. She looked at Charlotte, so small, so fragile, so heartbreakingly quiet. The doctors had been clear. A rare degenerative condition. No known cure. 3 months left. Edward had paid for international specialists, private hospitals, experimental medication. And the answer was always the same. "There's nothing more we can do." That night, Amelia could not bring herself to sleep. She stayed beside Charlotte's crib, humming a soft tune her mother used to sing. The lullaby warmed the cold air of the nursery. And then, she remembered. Her brother. Years ago. Same symptoms. Same hopeless predictions from doctors who had washed their hands. He survived because of a retired physician, a mysterious man known only by those who truly needed him. A man who rejected corporate medicine after being threatened by powerful pharmaceutical companies. A man who used methods no hospital accepted, but who saved her brother's life. Her hands trembled. Should she say something? Would she be fired? Humiliated? Thrown out immediately? But Charlotte's frail breathing decided for her. The next morning, Edward was in his office surrounded by lawyers, reviewing documents for his will. He was preparing for the inevitable, preparing for a world without his daughter. Amelia stepped in, her courage barely holding. "Sir," she said quietly, "I know someone. The doctor, someone who helped my brother when no one else could. He doesn't promise miracles, but he tries." Edward stood up so abruptly that his chair struck the wall. "Are you comparing your brother's street doctor to my daughter's condition? You dare bring me charlatans now? Get out of my sight." His voice cracked on the last word. Amelia lowered her head. Tears fell. But inside her, a spark of determination ignited. 2 days later, Charlotte worsened drastically. She could hardly open her eyes. Her breathing came in shallow spasms. Color drained completely from her tiny cheeks. Edward, the man who commanded entire companies with iron resolve, slammed his desk in rage and agony. "There has to be something," he roared to no one. He paced the room wildly, desperate, helpless. And then Amelia's words echoed in his mind. A doctor. A secret one. A last chance. His pride cracked. He ran, down the hall and found her in the kitchen. "Tell me the truth," he said breathlessly. "This doctor, is he real? Where can I find him?" Amelia froze. She had never seen Edward Harrington like this. "Yes," she whispered, "but he doesn't trust wealthy men. He treats only cases recommended by people he knows. And he doesn't take money." Edward swallowed hard. Money was the only language he had ever known. "Do whatever you must," he said brokenly. "Just save her." Amelia arranged everything in absolute secrecy. None of the official doctors were informed. No nurses. No staff. At dawn, long before the city woke up, she carried Charlotte out through the service door. Edward followed behind, wearing a simple coat and cap, unrecognizable. They drove north, leaving London behind, heading through small villages and winding paths. Hours later, they reached a quiet town surrounded by thick woods. Time seemed slower there. They approached a small, humble cottage. An old man stood at the door. His gaze was sharp, ancient, as if he could read their souls instantly. "If you came for miracles," he said without blinking, "you knocked on the wrong door. There are no miracles here, only truth. And truth hurts." Edward's heart nearly stopped. No one ever spoke to him like that. Amelia held Charlotte tighter. "We're not asking for miracles," she pleaded. "Just a chance." After a long moment, the man stepped aside. "Come in." The condition. Inside, the cottage smelled of herbs, oils, and old books filled with handwritten notes. Charlotte whimpered softly, barely. The doctor examined her carefully. "It's severe," he said at last. "Very severe. But not impossible." Edward stepped forward, trembling. "Tell me what you need. I'll pay anything." The old man looked at him with disdain. "Here, money means nothing. What matters is whether you are willing to do what you've never done. Listen, obey, and trust." Amelia lowered her head. That would be harder for Edward than any medical treatment. The doctor breathed deeply. "What I am about to ask of you will test your patience, your faith, and your secrets. And some secrets," he added quietly, "might destroy everything." Edward felt the world tilt under his feet. "What secrets?" he whispered, terrified. The doctor fixed his eyes on him. "The ones you've never dared face. Your daughter doesn't only need medicine. She needs unconditional love. From you." Amelia held Charlotte closer, because she knew that line was true. Edward had always been successful, but emotionally distant. "The treatment begins." The doctor removed Charlotte's heavy pharmaceutical treatments, the ones attacking her tiny organs. He replaced them with natural infusions, controlled environments, soft stimuli, and constant warmth. Amelia followed every instruction with perfect discipline. Every infusion timed. Every melody sung with tenderness. Every embrace filled with hope. Edward struggled. He didn't know how to hold her properly, how to soothe her, how to be close without feeling useless. One night, unable to sleep, he approached her crib. He hesitated, then gently held her fragile hand. Tears spilled freely as his voice cracked. "I'm sorry, my little girl. I thought money could save everything. But you're the only thing that truly matters." That confession broke something, or perhaps healed something. Charlotte's eyes fluttered open. She looked at him, not confused, but tender, as if she understood him. For the first time, Edward felt like a father. The following days brought small but encouraging changes. Charlotte responded to music, smiled faintly, slept more peacefully. Edward changed too. He learned from Amelia. He held Charlotte more often. He stopped answering calls from London. "I don't care about meetings," he said one morning, turning off his phone. "Let the world fall apart if it wants. I'm staying with my daughter." Amelia smiled softly. She had never seen him like that. But healing is not a straight line. One evening, Charlotte's condition collapsed. She burned with fever. Her breaths were faint. Her body trembled. Edward panicked. "Please, do something," he shouted at the doctor. The doctor remained calm but firm, applying the most intensive part of his treatment while Amelia whispered to the baby, "Fight, my love, fight." The night dragged on endlessly. Edward paced, prayed, begged, collapsed on his knees. But the hours kept passing in brutal silence. Just before dawn, a tiny voice broke through. "Daddy, Dick." Charlotte opened her eyes. Edward sobbed uncontrollably. Amelia cried too. The doctor merely nodded. "She will live." Weeks later, the Harrington mansion was not the same. No long business dinners. No cold silence. No lifeless hallways. It echoed with giggles. On Charlotte's first birthday celebration, a small, humble one, she laughed louder than any child her age. Amelia fed her a piece of cake when suddenly Charlotte asked, "Mummy, will I live?" Amelia froze. Edward stared. None of them had prepared for that question. Tears streamed down Amelia's cheeks as she whispered, "Yes, my darling. You will live. And you will grow surrounded by real love." Edward wrapped his arms around both of them. And he knew, without any doubt, that the greatest wealth he had ever possessed was breathing right there in his arms. You never know who stands behind the mask. Appearances deceive. But respect and dignity must never be negotiable. And sometimes, salvation comes from the person you least expect. Which part of this story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our next emotional stories.